Chapter 48 of the Old Curiosity Shop. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Recorded by Mill Nicholson. The Old Curiosity Shop by Charles Dickens. Chapter 48. Popular rumour concerning the single gentleman and his errand, travelling from mouth to mouth, and waxing stronger in the marvellous as it was bandied about, for your popular rumour, unlike the rolling stone of the proverb, is one which gathers a deal of moss in its wanderings up and down, occasioned his dismounting at the inn door to be looked upon as an exciting and attractive spectacle which could scarcely be enough admired, and drew together a large concourse of idlers, who, having recently been, as it were, thrown out of employment by the closing of the waxwork and the completion of the nuptial ceremonies, considered his arrival as little else than a special providence, and hailed it with demonstrations of the liveliest joy. Not at all participating in the general sensation, but wearing the depressed and wearied look of one who sought to meditate on his disappointment in silence and privacy, the single gentleman alighted, and handed out Kit's mother with a gloomy politeness which impressed the lookers on extremely. That done, he gave her his arm and escorted her into the house, while several active waiters ran on before as a skirmishing party to clear the way, and to show the room which was ready for their reception. 'Any room will do,' said the single gentleman. 'Let it be near at hand, that's all.' 'Close here, sir, if you please to walk this way.'
'Would the gentleman like this room?' said a voice, as a little out-of-the-way door at the foot of the well staircase flew briskly open, and a head popped out. 'He's quite welcome to it. He's as welcome as flowers in May or coals at Christmas. Would you like this room, sir? Honour me by walking in. Do me the favour, pray.'
'Goodness gracious me!' cried Kit's mother, falling back in extreme surprise. 'Only think of this!' She had some reason to be astonished, for the person who proffered the gracious invitation was no other than Daniel Quilp. The little door out of which he had thrust his head was close to the inn larder, and there he stood, bowing with grotesque politeness, as much at his ease as if the door were that of his own house, blighting all the legs of mutton and cold roast fowls by his close companionship, and looking like the evil genius of the cellars come from underground upon some work of mischief.
'Would you do me the honour?' said Quilp.
'I prefer being alone,' replied the single gentleman.
'Oh!'
said Quilp, and with that he darted in again with one jerk, and clapped the little door to, like a figure in a Dutch clock when the hour strikes.
'Why, it was only last night, sir,' whispered Kit's mother, 'that I left him in Little Bethel.'
'Indeed?' said her fellow passenger. 'When did that person come here, waiter?'
'Come down by the night coach this morning, sir.'
'Humph! And when is he going?'
'Can't say, sir, really. When the chambermaid asked him just now if he should want a bed, sir, he first made faces at her, and then wanted to kiss her.'
'Beg him to walk this way,' said the single gentleman. 'I should be glad to exchange a word with him, tell him. Beg him to come at once, do you hear?' The man stared on receiving these instructions, for the single gentleman had not only displayed as much astonishment as Kit's mother at sight of the dwarf, but, standing in no fear of him, had been at less pains to conceal his dislike and repugnance. He departed on his errand, however, and immediately returned, ushering in its object.
'Your servant, sir,' said the dwarf. 'I encountered your messenger halfway. I thought you'd allow me to pay my compliments to you. I hope you're well. I hope you're very well.'
There was a short pause, while the dwarf, with half-shut eyes and puckered face, stood waiting for an answer. Receiving none, he turned towards his more familiar acquaintance.
'Christopher's mother,' he cried. Such a dear lady, such a worthy woman, so blessed in her honest son. How is Christopher's mother? Have change of air and scene improved her? Her little family too, and Christopher, do they thrive? Do they flourish? Are they growing into worthy citizens, eh?
Making his voice ascend in the scale with every succeeding question, Mr Quilp finished in a shrill squeak, and subsided into the panting look which was customary with him, and which, whether it were assumed or natural, had equally the effect of banishing all expression from his face, and rendering it, as far as it afforded any index to his mood or meaning, a perfect blank. 'Mr Quilp,' said the single gentleman. The dwarf put his hand to his great flapped ear, and counterfeited the closest attention. 'We two have met before?'
'Surely,' cried Quilp, nodding his head. 'Oh, surely, sir. Such an honour and pleasure. It's both. Christopher's mother, it's both, is not to be forgotten so soon. By no means.'
'You may remember that the day I arrived in London, and found the house to which I drove empty and deserted, I was directed by some of the neighbours to you, and waited upon you without stopping for rest or refreshment.'
'How precipitate that was, and yet what an earnest and vigorous measure!' said Quilp, conferring with himself in imitation of his friend Mr Sampson Brass. 'I found,' said the single gentleman, 'you most unaccountably in possession of everything that had so recently belonged to another man, and that other man, who up to the time of your entering upon his property had been looked upon as affluent, reduced to sudden beggary, and driven from house and home.' 'We had warrant for what we did, my good sir,' rejoined Quilp. 'We had our warrant. Don't say driven, either. He went of his own accord. Vanished in the night, sir.'
'No matter,' said the single gentleman, angrily. 'He was gone.'
'Yes, he was gone,' said Quilp, with the same exasperating composure. 'No doubt he was gone. The only question was where, and it's a question still.'
'Now, what am I to think,' said the single gentleman, sternly regarding him, 'of you, who, plainly indisposed to give me any information then, nay, obviously holding back and sheltering yourself with all kinds of cunning, trickery, and evasion, are dogging my footsteps now?'
'I? Dogging?' cried Quilp.
'Why are you not?' returned his questioner, fretted into a state of the utmost irritation. 'Were you not a few hours since 60 miles off, and in the chapel to which this good woman goes to say her prayers?'
'She was there too, I think,' said Quilp, still perfectly unmoved. 'I might say, if I was inclined to be rude, how do I know but you are dogging my footsteps? Yes, I was at chapel. What then? I've read in books that pilgrims were used to go to chapel before they went on journeys to put up petitions for their safe return. Wise men. Journeys are very perilous, especially outside the coach. Wheels come off, horses take fright, coachmen drive too fast, coaches overturn. I always go to chapel before I start on journeys. It's the last thing I do on such occasions, indeed.'
That Quilp lied most heartily in this speech, it needed no very great penetration to discover, although for anything that he suffered to appear in his face, voice, or manner, he might have been clinging to the truth with the quiet constancy of a martyr. 'In the name of all that's calculated to drive one crazy, man,' said the unfortunate single gentleman, 'have you not, for some reason of your own, taken upon yourself my errand? Don't you know with what object I have come here, and if you do know, can you throw no light upon it?'
'You think I'm a conjurer, sir?'
replied Quilp, shrugging up his shoulders.
'If I was, I should tell my own fortune, and make it.'
'Ah! We have said all we need to say, I see,' returned the other, throwing himself impatiently upon a sofa. Pray leave us, if you please.'
'Willingly,' returned Quilp. 'Most willingly. Christopher's mother, my good soul, farewell. A pleasant journey back, sir.